Okay, for this video we're going to go into a technique that's called palm muting. Palm muting is all done with your right hand, if you're a right-handed guitarist. But basically it's going to be this part of your palm that's going to rest on the strings, right where the strings meet the bridge. Not on the bridge, just right before the bridge. There's a good about an inch of space in that spot where you can adjust it and move it around. You'll see it kind of changes the effect of the palm mute. Moving it closer to the neck this way, it's going to choke out the notes a little bit more. A palm mute, if you're not familiar with the term, you're surely going to be familiar with what the sound is that it's giving. So I'm just going to take a power chord on the E string. We'll go to a G. So I'm going to be on the 3rd fret of the E string with my index finger, and then on the A string, the 5th string, I'm going to go to the 5th fret with my ring finger, making a power chord. And I'm just going to play on the top 2 strings, on E and A. And I'm going to play a power chord, just normal strumming. And now I'm going to play it palm muted. So it sort of mutes the notes out a bit, kind of dampens them. There's different degrees, like I said, so you can kind of move your hand around a little bit to find those different degrees. The further towards the neck you go, you're going to start choking out the strings and muting them all together. You won't hear any of the tones of the notes. So, all the way against the bridge right now, at the very end of the strings, that's where this part of my hand is resting. And I'm slowly going to move it up just to kind of get a feel for those different areas and how it's going to sound. And see, I barely moved, now I'm already choking out the notes and I'm muting, just it's a total mute now. So it's mainly in this last area of string where you really want to do this. Now, this guitar has a fixed bridge, it's not a floating bridge or a Floyd Rose. If you are playing on a guitar with a tremolo system or a Floyd Rose, you want to be careful that you're not too heavy-handed with your right hand, because if you lean on the bridge a little bit, it's going to bend the bridge back and it's going to make the strings out of tune. So don't get in the habit of being too heavy-handed. Even if you have a fixed bridge, chances are you might come across a guitar, you might end up playing on a guitar with a tremolo system, so you don't want to get into that habit of being too heavy-handed on this. But you also notice, depending on how hard you push down and how much pressure you put on with your right hand on the strings, it also changes the sound of the palm mute. It's basically just bending the strings after a point, so you really don't have to push hard. I'm just kind of barely resting on the strings, just making contact with the palm of my hand, the side basically. So this can be done on electric or acoustic. It has the same result. You can do it with chords, which we're going to mainly stick to on this part of the video. Or it can be done with single notes. So that's the basics of palm muting. That's how it works. You might want to take a few minutes to just kind of mess around with it and find that spot, a comfortable place for your hand to work. You want to be able to keep this part of your hand more or less stationary when you find that spot, and use your thumb and your first finger to move the pick, so you're not having to move your whole hand and trying to palm mute. One helpful trick for that is how you're actually holding the pick. A lot of people will overlook that, and they're going to actually, between the 2 fingers, hold it. So the pick's between my fingertips. A very helpful technique is on your index finger, you'll place the pick, it's actually going to rest on the side of your finger. Let's see if I can aim it better. So here's the point of my pick, and that's going to be pointing straight out from my index finger, from the top of my finger. That way I'm holding it on the side of my index finger. And now I got the finger movement to just move the pick back and forth. I'll angle it a little bit different. Like that. Instead of having to, if I'm holding like that, it's more movement required from my fingers. So this is going to allow you to make it a lot easier to play palm mutes and not have to worry about adjusting your hand for every string you want to play on or just hitting the notes. Alright, so right now I'm using a clean sound just direct straight through the amp, so you'll really hear the natural tones of it. And that's probably the best way to kind of get started with it, because you're going to hear everything a lot clearer that way. Alright, so you see I am moving I am using more of my hand than just my fingers, but this part of my hand is still stationary. After you kind of get the hang of the palm mutes, then try it out. If you have an electric guitar, if you try it out with a bit of distortion or gain, you're going to hear quite a difference in the effect. It's a lot more of a drastic effect. So I'm just going to put on my distortion channel and go through just a couple power chords using palm mutes. Alright, now I'm going to just combine playing these same chords. I'm going to just play, I'll use palm mutes, and then I'm going to go away from the palm mute and just strum it open. And I'm going to kind of mix that up to make a rhythm. It's kind of a 1, 2, 3, 4 rhythm. On 3 I will open up, and 1, 2, and 4 I'm going to be palm muting the notes. Now I'm going to play the exact same thing and just leave the palm mutes out altogether. But my left hand's doing the exact same thing, I'm picking the same rhythm. So the palm mute really does have a drastic effect on a riff. Both rhythmic-wise and just the overall feel of the riff, the atmosphere of it. We'll continue this video. I'm going to probably put it in a few parts and start getting into a few exercises to be able to move in and out of the palm mutes. Some stuff will be completely muted. There's no opening up, but there's a lot of patterns you're going to come across or want to use that go back and forth between playing it strum normal and with the palm mute. So we're going to go over a few exercises as far as how to get used to doing that comfortably, being able to go in and out of a palm mute, no problem. So wherever you want to throw together using palm mutes, you'll be able to get a lot more results, just different kind of sounds out of the same chords. A lot of times the same riff will be repeated, open without palm mutes and then with palm mutes. It sounds like it's two riffs, though theoretically your left hand is playing the same exact notes. Alright, so we'll continue in another video for that.